Hello there. This is also not part 2 of Spinal Catastrophism, and if you were expecting it to be my next upload, I'm sorry, but the timeline just hasn't worked out that way. Welcome to another side of my personality. Be very, very afraid. Let me take you back. July 9th, 2024, National Cow Appreciation Day. This fact will posthumously become humorous. To the world at large, things are as they have been for a while. The Middle East is at war, American citizens inquire into President Biden's health and well-being, and the sky is blue. However, in a quiet corner of the internet, the dust on the curtains is being shaken off by the blaring of trumpets. It's time to clean house, and the moderators of IFunny.com enact a decision that will forever alter the trajectory of the app's future. A banwave, unlike anything seen in years. Dozens will be removed. Hundreds will cry out in agony, and billions must post.
What's going on, guys? Oh, man. You know, what do you want? What do you want, right? I'm trying to think about what you want because I'm confused. I wake up, I get some messages from my company. They're like, hey, our engagement's kind of low. What's going on? Oh, I wish I could fucking tell you. Okay. I wish I could tell you. They're like, maybe we should start taking notes from the bigger guys upstairs who get really good engagement. I'm looking at Opera GX and Duolingo and they're crushing it, right? Half these social media managers are fucking carried by their brands, okay? By their cute little sparkly perfect brands in the corner, okay? I got a fucking dog with 2 legs over here I'm working with. All right, I could be the least unfunny band kid and hop on Duolingo and just fucking pump out zingers because, oh my God, Duolingo just said this about their boss and their fucking boss has said something back to them and they put it into a picture and it's such a good meme. 10K likes, Opera GX, another my boss tweet, dude, fucking 20K likes. Dude, this app is dying. There's a freaky posting account. God bless his heart. I love him. I love who's behind the page. There's a freaky account that's been posting freaky posts since fucking January and he gets more engagement than me. I'm gonna. I love you, freaky posting. Don't take that personal, but fuck me, man. I'm gonna give you slop. Let's fucking engagement bait, quote retweet bait, my boss tweets for the 10th time this week. Oh, you're gonna see. I'm gonna milk this shit out of it. Ugh, I need some Starbucks.
Here's your history primer. IFunny is a comedy-centered social media app and website identified by a generic yet insidiously recognizable yellow and black smiley face. It was released on iOS on April 26, 2011, a fact I mistakenly said as 2013 in my other video on the memetic revolution. Yes, I know I was wrong, you can stop commenting on it. IFunny is owned by Funcorp Limited, a company that Google won't tell me much about, and that's for a good reason. In the 13 years since, the app has been downloaded 90 million times, with 300 million memes or other posts uploaded to its servers. That, of course, is split between the main IFunny website, catering mainly to American audiences, but also to its Southern American counterpart, IFunny Brazil, a strange and foreign land that I have only intersected with in the same way that one might pass another ship on the open sea. In that time, the app has attained a level of notoriety for a few things. Its dog shit user interface, the watermark stapled to the bottom of every post downloaded from it, an atmosphere that makes it feel frozen in the past, like a relic from when you were in high school, a small population of lolcows isolated within its deeper communities, and the volume of felons per capita among its notable posters. In spite of this, or because of these factors, IFunny has maintained an active role in the hierarchy of internet content generation. You can hear all about it in my last video on the subject, which is both required reading for this video and a good primer on today's discussion. Chiefly among these contributing factors is this. The moderating team had all but given up on subduing the unsightly elements of its user base. It is absolutely not a secret that IFunny harbors a contingent of right-wing users. MAGA-adjacent conservatives, neo-fascists, German admirers, monarchists, Christian nationalists, and other political outliers like eco-socialists or anarcho-primitivists. Their presence in the deep IFunny and communities like iPolitics has been allowed because, unlike other mainstream social media sites, their content is not subjected to the same moderation policies. In recent history, IFunny has functioned under an automod system. Any content with type text is scanned for a list of banned words. Certain words will have the post banned or black-holed, causing it to be unviewable by anyone but the poster. Other words will generate soft bans, where the post appears as normal to the publisher, but is in some way hidden from the general audience, be they subscribers or the collective feed. The exact mechanisms are hazy to ascertain, but several lists have been updated over the years to show these blocked words. Now, there are a couple of ways they typically get around this. Posting the text as a screenshot is helpful as a first layer of defense, because while the automod will convert certain text blocks in images as tags on the post, if there is a strike-through or other drawn censor added over suspected words, this can evade removal. Posting the image upside down also helps. Other written evasion methods include censoring the N-word as noon, putting a gorilla or ape emoji after the letter R, and replacing the "ac" in black with the trans pride flag. My point in mentioning this is that the user base has proven to be capable of avoiding the minimal levels of auto-moderation put in place by the owners, allowing them to discuss socially unacceptable viewpoints in an isolated environment with little repercussion. But Element, how do you know all of this? Are you an alt-right extremist? Legally, I am not far-right, I am far-mer. Nebraska mentioned. The lack of moderation compared to old regime Twitter and Facebook has been one of the reasons I've continued to use IFunny over the years. Even if it allowed far-right content, it was also one of the few places where you could truly see anything right of center without threat of removal. I used this right-wing echo chamber to temper the opinions I encountered on more mainstream left-wing echo chambers, online or off. I found it helpful to keep a finger to the pulse on extremist viewpoints because it gave insight into how the full spectrum of the political perspectives were reacting to any given events. That and the memes were good. I don't subscribe to fascist ideology. My beliefs are centered on the doctrines of Catholic faith and the vitality of my home turf of rural America. Let's just state it clearly. Not everyone who uses IFunny is a criminal, or an extremist, or even right-wing. Like any website, there are a variety of users who post about vastly different things. With that out of the way, what changed about the moderation? Here's a rough timeline of events. Near or after September 28, 2023, documents leaked to IFunny supposedly demonstrating that the app was being sold by owner Funcorp to Chinese multinational internet service giant Baidu. I will discuss this in more depth later. Nonetheless, this was the beginning of the most recent chatterings about the app changing ownership. Fast forward to 2024. My Twitter will only let me scroll back on their account as far as April 19th, but at some point, the official IFunny Twitter account vastly increased its activity compared to the period of relative dormancy before. It took on a typical brand account persona, trying to be snarky, edgy, and cool, including in May when it started Twitter beef with the official Opera GX account. Remember that? Generally, it appeared as if the company, or at least the social media arm, was trying to channel the zeitgeist of the app's existing user base. Given access to an unending stream of new memes posted by said users, it was sitting pretty, and garnered tens of thousands of new followers in the coming months. On June 11, 2024, the IFunny Twitter account posted a screenshot that the Opera GX account had blocked them, calling the company sensitive. A deleted account responded in some way, causing IFunny to say, "You can trash talk me, and we finna say some shit back, not block you unless you a creep or hella hateful or some shit. Only reason we block people. But any shit talk is on the table, baby." User Hella Young Fosser at 7 inches of autism responded, "Hella hateful, my brother in Christ, you are representing ifunny.com. Say the fucking word." To which IFunny responded, "Bro, that was the old people. We got a vision without y'all coming soon." This was noted by community members like user Mookie, who would become the canary in the coal mine for what would happen in the next few months. It seems that, despite emulating the offensive mannerisms and jokes of the core IFunny user base, The account and its owners had a vision which didn't involve the more hateful elements of its user base, which, depending on how far you stretch that definition, would mean without the core user base entirely. iFunny's app continued to be active. Now, if you don't know, instead of celebrating Pride Month, iFunny celebrates Dino Month, changing the app's icon to include a T-Rex. For a modern corporation, this is out of the norm. It makes complete sense given the user demographics I described earlier, but I find this important to note for later on in the video. iFunny's staff openly doesn't cater to LGBTQ audiences. On June 14th, iFunny teased and then shortly thereafter released a collaboration to bring official items to the Roblox UGC marketplace. I don't play Roblox, so that's not really important. However, on June 23rd, it was announced that iFunny would sponsor a streaming event. Fish Tank All-Stars, Vampire Blood Games, including a signature iFunny workshop and arena. FishTank.live is a 24/7 live-streamed reality TV show created by Sam Hyde, the controversial comedian and filmmaker behind $1 Million Extreme, and directed by Jet Neptune. Sam Hyde is a popular figure and recurring joke among iFunny, making this a sensible extension of the brand, but still a jarring event to the user base. iFunny doesn't sponsor things. Like, ever. It's not a brand whose public image lends itself to popular advertising, and this far in the app's lifespan, we haven't seen anything of this nature in years. Most of us didn't think that it was a profitable app to warrant that kind of thing. Yet, if anyone was going to take a sponsorship from iFunny, Sam Hyde would fit the bill. This increased activity, coupled with the comments made by the iFunny Twitter account, signaled to users that owners intended to convert the app into a legitimate social media site. This brings us to July 9th, 2024. At 9:30 p.m., the iFunny Twitter account tweets, "Yo, we're actually gonna pull the trigger on affiliate badges? Serious inquiries only, please." This was innocuous, possibly expectable from the company's recent promotional activities. What followed was anything but expectable. That evening, with no announcement or grand ceremony, a tidal wave of bans hit iFunny users. Among them were popular accounts like Dronum and Poland Ball. These were veteran users of the app with 2,064 and 3,083 days logged in the app respectively. They were not posters within the iPolitics sphere. Their content was not apparently hateful or guideline-breaking in the way that other more extreme users hit by the ban might have been. Or, to be more accurate, they had not posted anything recently which fell underneath that purview, even if they, in the decade of posting beforehand, might have said something that was offensive. There didn't seem to be a specific triggering post for these accounts or for many others. As people took inventory, it became apparent that something unusual was happening. Banwaves like this had occurred in the past, called banacosts, a portmanteau of exactly the two words you're thinking of. Banoffee, a creamy British pie made with bananas and caramel in reference to chimpanzees on the iFunny mod team, and caustic, the dissolving or eating away of that pie as a metaphor for the sudden absence of the users who were banned. According to a Substack post from James Knox, the exact number of banacosts is debated. The first in 2014 to 2015, a second in 2018, and a brief third one in 2020. Reasons vary, from iFunny being removed from the App Store for hate speech or US federal agents pressuring the owner to petty mod grievances. The name resurfaced to describe the events that were happening. The morning of July 10th came and the community responded in confusion, looking for answers. Mookie and others at first questioned if it was some sort of exploit or automod issue. Given the ramshackle nature of iFunny's code, that wasn't out of the question. So people reached out to the iFunny Twitter page for answers. Their response was this: "From what I've heard, there is very valid reasonings. Mod team's decision, not mine. Sorry, man." And what the fuck is a banacost? There's no way this isn't ironic. This immediately garnered community backlash. Veteran iFunny users were being banned left and right, and now they knew it was on purpose. They could only name the dead as more and more fell silent. Among them, sectionalism, 2,791 days, Lithium Cactus, 3,593 days. Zach the First, 3,984 days. Hobe, 3,316. Silfield, 2,200. Bummer Drummer Incel, 1489. Sedilla, 3242. Explosive Refugees, 3020. Petrix, 1013. Romulus, 3900. Gugas, 1509. Josuke, 3200. iConspiracies, 1236. iCatholic, 1121. Polsku, Toasty, Shit Arb Says, New Irish Republic, Veteran Rangers, Ines, Path, Corpus, Level 100 Colonel, Churchill, Texas Empire, Totalitarian, Jesuit, Trigan, Brown Johnson, NFP, Agility, Snake Girl, I Hate Justin Trudeau, Lore, Internet Bound, Dober, Zone, Swagmaster Pro, Leonard Kimsikoff, and eventually, Mookie himself, 3,787 days, was banned as well. Just a small portion of those listed here, by user Endar's estimates, accounted for a total of 43,433 days, over 1,401 months, 116 years spent using the app IFunny, lost in an instant. A devastating amount of time investment thrown away by the moderating team in the blink of an eye. Never mind the alt accounts held by those named here that were also banned, and countless other unreported users. Some were not so lucky as to have kept even their own name data. As some described it, it was like scrolling through the tomb of the unknown mutual. Now, when I say banned, it's important to distinguish. Not all of the accounts were outright deleted, which removes their page's content. Most people were effectively banned by being barred from posting content, commenting, or joining chats until July of 2034. A 10-year content ban. To my knowledge, these are the longest content bans ever handed out by the app. Some more popular accounts were spared, however. Accounts like Kolaz, whose content can be as offensive or even more than accounts like Poland Ball Sectionalism or Dronum, evaded bans by deploying a quick shield of liblarp, sarcastically exclaiming support for the removal of offending accounts. Others, like Krawls, threw up a smokescreen by posting a bunch of unfunny Hawk-Tua memes, just like all of the other Hawk-Tua memes he had been posting, and the Hawk-Tua memes he's been posting since, and the gay African-American down low memes he's been posting since. God damn it, Krawls, I fucking hate you. Why did I follow you in the first place? Beloved figure of the community Cirque survived as well, being an automated spam bot that comments on other posts by a learning language algorithm fed from other IFunny comments. It was liable that he could have been banned as well. Thankfully, Cirque was fine, but his owner logged into the account to say that his own personal account had been hit. I guess none were truly scarless from the event. And in the now deleted Twitter post on July 10th, IFunny Twitter said, "We have taken several steps to cleaning up the app recently and getting rid of a plethora of extremely users who have violated our content in several ways. Now, because of this, they are hate rating, leaving bad reviews, trying to dox, etc. Bro, the victim complexes are insane, crying laughy emoji. None of these reviews are true, ha ha ha. Unfortunately, lots of people are pissed we're taking away their ability for such hate, and they are trying to get us removed from the App Store. Just know if you are a normal IFunny user, you are safe and every ban was justified, or they can appeal and our team will look at it." The entire ordeal was met with bad grammar and an unprofessional, snarky tone that they were mimicking from the users they had just shut the door on. But they weren't done. On 6:40 p.m. on July 10th, the Twitter announced, hoping to bring features like monetization/content creation studio as well in the future. Things are looking up. The wait is over. IFunny 10 is up and running. Take a look and share your thoughts in the comments. We've upgraded algorithms, improved moderation, and given the app a sleek new look. Dive into the new IFunny experience and let us know what you think. Right on the tails of a banwave, IFunny was now announcing that they would be developing monetization tools for the platform. Tools to attract new content creators to replace the ones they had just removed. With their motives now transparent for all to see, the community began to respond. Users first ratioed the announcement post in IFunny's featured section. Then, they spread the word about what was happening, painting a target on the company's back, specifically the mods' backs. Mookie and Internet Bound released a Dead Man's Switch on Mookie's second channel. Titled The Fall of IFunny, this 2-minute video recapped the situation thus far before doxing the moderator suspected to be running the IFunny Twitter account. If the dox is to be believed, Zeke the Freak, no relation, otherwise known as @Brent on Twitter, is a rather suspect character. His personal Twitter page follows several minors, which is not too bad until you realize that he has allegedly sent nudes to an autistic minor in the past. A censored version of this nude was provided in the post. If true, I don't need to spell out how bad this is, and it's not the first time a moderator has been accused of such behavior in the past. However, it should be noted that conflicting evidence from a former IFunny admin denied that Zeke sent nudes to minors, just to adult women on the app. Zeke would allegedly trade nudes from women for verification on IFunny. All of that said, it's hard to prove any or all of this, so take it with a grain of salt that it's just a bad situation. Zeke himself confirmed in DMs that he was working for IFunny at least a month before the banwave, but denied still being a part of the team making this decision. Despite this, at the time, he was still a Janny, or moderator on the IFunny Discord. Now, it is plausible that Zeke was not running the Twitter account and was not involved in the banwave decisions. All of the information I've been fed here could be false, but it still isn't a good look for the app's management when this is the primary narrative being disseminated. Next, several passwords for different ifunny.co email accounts were also leaked in a chat between large users. I can't confirm the legitimacy of these, but for it to be coming out simultaneously is kind of funny. Now, I don't know how this last thing started, but somewhere along the line, users got it in their heads that the new moderation team, or at least the bigwigs responsible, were Indian. I think it's because of the poor grammar used in the cleaning up the app Twitter post. I don't know. It's a stereotype that Indians take over computer development firms, but there was the buyout by a Chinese company, so maybe it's legit. But I have no first-hand confirmation either way about the ethnicity of any of the members of the moderation team. Regardless, now that they had an ethnicity to target, the famed racists among IFunny's most dedicated users let loose the flow of every Indophobic meme they had in reserves. I opened Collective the night of the 10th, and this is what it looked like. Street-shitting jokes, racial slurs, the porn bots that were regularly there, memes about the drama, mod hate, and IFunny nostalgia as far as the eye could see. You remember how I said that June 9th was National Cow Appreciation Day? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of steaks and cheeseburgers and actual cow slaughter footage filling not just Collective, but the featured section shortly after. I can't condone the things that were posted in response, but you have to acknowledge the dedication to the task. I've not seen a reaction this coordinated by the app's user base for a very long time. Mods kept banning accounts and removing posts, but for every one they struck down, 10 more took its place. If you pardon my language, it was a legit-a-meat shit show. June 11th rolls around. The Twitter account tweets out, 3:30 p.m, "Guys, I want to reiterate again that because our automod banned lots of people from the app for reasons like CP, death threats, gore, extremism on both sides, and hardcore porn. We are getting hate bombed with tons of things that are not the truth and also keep spamming that the social team is someone named Zeke, ha ha ha. They think we're an Indian own now bandaged emoji. Plus, like the previous post says, y'all got nothing to worry about, just send an appeal to the priority email if your account was wrongfully targeted and we will fix it, tongue out emoji." And 3:52 p.m. 2024 gonna be our revival if you wanna just know that we have lots of plans for the next 1 to 2 years and lots of community cleanup and revamps. And 3:57, "The steak posts are hilarious, but it's being spammed, so that's why they are being taken down." The social page acknowledges the situation yet again, brushing off the allegations that Zeke runs the page or that the app is Indian-honed. On the one hand, maybe they mean it in earnest and are telling the truth. On the other, what else would they say if they were the truth? I can't say for certain. Everyone in this conversation is of dubious repute. At some point here, Mookie got in contact with me to try and document the happenings as they happened. Luckily for both of us, a thread was created on Kiwi Farms doing exactly that. I found it incredibly useful in filling in some of the gaps in my records. Someone even posted one of my videos. How touching. Things appeared as if they would continue like this for a while. The IFunny user base is stubborn, but the moderation team had very few reasons to listen to them unless more damning information came to light. It was essentially a standstill. And then Trump got shot. On July 13th, at an election rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the big Donnie JT himself survived a potential assassination attempt. While at time of writing, more information needs to be released about the situation, it doesn't really matter. This was a majorly publicized and highly recorded attempt to shoot an ex-president and now presidential candidate for the Republican Party, who was a very popular meme figure among right-wing groups, including Deep IFunny. Not to mention the fact that an IFunny user had threatened to kill Joe Biden in April 2020, so there was a non-zero possibility that the app would once again be involved in the investigation. To say that it derailed and completely drowned out whatever nonsense was happening on the app 4 days into the drama is an understatement. While the rest of America was eating up the news, I got a message from Mookie saying that basically all efforts were on hold. The idea of a Kiwi Farms raid on IFunny was tossed around for a bit and ultimately abandoned. Speaking on abandoning things, a new plan was concocted. On July 14th, Brongulus got banned. This was pretty much when the line of communication between mods and old heads was dropped. It became apparent that appealing the bans wouldn't happen, so Mookie and co. began spreading a video called the IFunny Preservation Plan. Rather than preserve IFunny, as the name might imply, this was actually a plan to abandon IFunny. Veteran accounts would walk the trail of 10 years to a reservation of their own, x.com. Given the number of prominent accounts the app was bleeding and the inability to continue posting as they did under a new moderation regime, it was becoming apparent to some that IFunny was no longer a viable platform for their demographic. Twitter, by contrast, had been getting more and more lax about what users could post, thanks to changes by Elon Musk. In a new group named XFunny, hundreds of users made the exodus to carry their old head community into a new age. On July 18th, a second mod dox occurred with a post sponsored by Brongulus and Mookie claiming that the IFunny Twitter account was now being run by a guy named Isaac. There really wasn't any dirt on him as far as I can tell, they were just showing off his face and stuff. Things quieted down after that for some time. An air of discord had fallen into the community's sentiment, and communications from IFunny revealed nothing new, met with the same cries of resentment from existing users. Then, on July 29th, account Ratboy420 posted rat number 1000 on his daily rat posting series. Oh, and former admin Tazandra Joe posted on Twitter that she had been banned from IFunny as well. She and her team had left the app 2 years ago, and now she was being targeted by its current team as well. Note, an installation ban, like Tazandra received, where you are logged out from IFunny as a result from the ban, requires the IFunny developers or moderators to directly pass along the ban. It cannot be done by the automod. IFunny had a human being reach out to do this. On the same day, with absolutely zero warning, the official IFunny Discord server was deleted as well. I can confirm this because I was in that Discord and it no longer exists. It was an active server with hundreds of users, and it appears that Tazandra was the one who deleted it. I've not reached out for comment, but her motivation for doing so, and whether it was at the behest of IFunny, is anyone's guess. Later on August 9th, IFunny seemingly attempted to deflect attention away from the situation and further entice goodwill by running a giveaway on the app. Post your memes under the hashtag IFunny giveaway, and the most liked post could win a gaming PC. Runner-up prizes included a keyboard, a gaming mouse, and various gift cards. This giveaway ended on August 23rd, where the winners were a Twitter repost, a Tumblr repost, and another Twitter repost by Unrelenting Juggernaut. Surprise, surprise, there weren't too many original, popular users left in the app at this point. On August 11th, Twitter user OneColdBloods tweeted the following image, saying that leakers obtained personal info on IFunny employees and were planning to release details from August 19th to September 9th. However, August 19th only brought a second post saying that the plan was being delayed because other parties were gaining ground with apparent parallel projects. This appears to be a nothing burger on the surface, but I'll mention it anyways in case it becomes important in the future. But even X was not a safe haven for new IFunny members. Mookie was banned from Twitter on August 31st, but XFunny was left largely intact and largely inactive. Since then, very little has developed in the story. As of September 3rd, 2024, it does not appear as if IFunny will change its course, nor has anything surfaced that would allow its community to more seriously resist expulsion. That's the long and the short of the 2024 quote-unquote Bannacost, but this event does raise some interesting questions. Why would IFunny suddenly switch gears and turn on its own user base after enabling them for so long? What was their motivation? What were their goals in shaking an alt-right adjacent hornet's nest? And morally, does IFunny have the grounds to distance their brand from the more unsightly elements of its user base? Or is the brand inseparably linked to violence, racism, sexism, and homophobia? Let's begin with another statement that though I have been directly communicating with figures involved in this story, and though I was actively using the app throughout the event, I do not directly endorse any of the activities or theories presented in the banwave. I do not condone the doxing or harassing of any IFunny employees or ex-moderators, nor do I condone racial and religious discrimination. My role, as it has always been, is that of an observer and documenter. This won't prevent some of you from attempting to defame me, but for the literal thousands of subscribers who may not have seen my other IFunny video, this feels somewhat necessary to say things clearly. So, let's talk about IFunny's ownership. The joke has always been that IFunny was owned by a Russian company, but that's not the full story. An anonymous former admin has been running a Telegram thread called Exposing IFunny, and the information that they've passed along to me through Mookie has been vital for understanding the events. In 2009, two 19-year-old Russian programming students created a meme platform for their college friends, much in the same vein as Facebook and other platforms created before that. Their names were Denis Litvinov and Vladimir Zakulov. Denis will elaborate on later. Vladimir had already co-founded his own company, Team Flysoft, on December 19, 2004, in Penza, Russia. Yes, I know that would mean he was 15, I'm just giving the information I have. An anniversary post made by Flysoft in 2014 says, "Back in 2004, few believed that applications for mobile devices would one day become anything more than exotic fun. 10 years later, it has become obvious that flying software is an integral part of the present and future. We are happy that we have had the opportunity to play our own, albeit small, role in this revolution." In 2011, they founded the Russian company Okruzhnost and launched IFunny for wider audiences. Okruzhnost is Slovene for circularity, and I am most certainly saying it wrong. Now, this conflicts with some information I've seen online about the company. According to Crunchbase, a company called Okruzhnost was founded on October 31st of 1977. I can't find much more information than that in English, but the company appears to have a history in radio and radio apps, which somewhat ties to IFunny as a media application. I cannot seem to distinguish if this is the same company, in which the dates don't line up, or one of the same name, in which case records for Okruzhnost are scarcely available online. More evidence seems to point towards the 2009-2011 founding story for the company. Anyways, in 2013, in order to expand region into English markets, Okruzhnost was converted into Funcorp. A year later, in December 2014, Team Flysoft appears to be dissolved to become part of the IFunny team, according to the same LinkedIn post. About this time, a figure known as IFunny Chef hits the app as the face of IFunny. Both an administrator and an investor, the man known as David Block, or David Chef, was simply and fondly remembered as IFunny Chef by the app's user base. However, in 2016, things get shaken up. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump again. David reportedly embezzled money from Funcorp company accounts and was deported from the United States. Accordingly, ties were cut between him and Funcorp, but with him being essentially the face of the app, someone needed to step in and fill his role to maintain appearances. It fell to admin Tazandra to take over the IFunny chef account in his absence. In 2016, it appears that Funcorp had already opened, or was beginning to open, offices in Limassol, Cyprus, a small island country in the Mediterranean. Their primary address is Leophoros Archaeopistopia Megaro 3, 2024. Not that you should bother them, I'm just stating publicly available information. The motivation for doing this was likely Russian geopolitics. The 2014 Russian annexation of Crimea resulted in a number of sanctions on the international stage, and so a company like Funcorp, which was dependent on American audiences, was looking for a way to avoid being potentially cut off from their clients should the situation worsen. Spoiler alert, it did. According to CyprusRegistry.com, Funcorp is a privately owned limited company. I have a registration dated with the Cyprus government on February 3rd, 2016, and the company's LinkedIn page claims that they were founded in 2004, probably referring to Team Flysoft. Whether Funcorp was established in 2013 or 2016, I can't say. It's probably that Funcorp just registered with Cyprus in 2016. Whatever the case, Funcorp was founded, running IFunny, and had begun operating in offices outside of Russia. 2017 rolls around and Tazandra is operating as chef, the chief and head of the 28 unpaid moderators on IFunny. One of these mods, a man named Diego, leaks that Tazandra has been operating as chef for the last year. He also leaks that 40-year-old Tazandra was dating Fake or Fact, who was 17. This created discourse in the community and was key in igniting a sentiment of general distrust towards the app's leadership, both for the behavior of Tazandra, but also for the dishonesty in the presentation of the chef figure. In 2019, BuzzFeed reports that IFunny's owner was still Okrujnost and that it was still being ran by David Sheff, but their sources may not have been closest to the pulse. Funcorp's COO, Chief Operating Officer, was reportedly a man named Eugene who was living in Los Angeles. Certain unnamed moderators told BuzzFeed that Eugene was more responsible for running IFunny than David, and that he was a proponent of allowing extremist content to drive up user numbers. Now, I have no corroborating evidence that this Eugene figure existed, or what their relationship to Tazandra, Dennis, or Vladimir was. Information about the app's internal leadership is simply not widely available. Regardless, it appears from internal guides as if the company's moderators were encouraging far-right content to drive up engagement. According to our anonymous admin source, in 2020, Denis Litvinov, who was CEO at the time, reportedly left the app. His efforts through Funcorp to create alternative entertainment apps, like America's Best Pics and Videos and FunXD, were not panning out, and the community on IFunny was becoming no less toxic than before. Thus, he apparently stepped away from the role. This is contradicted by his LinkedIn page, which lists his involvement as co-founder and CEO from January 2016 to November of 2023. When did he quit? I don't know. Where is Vladimir Zakhalov's role in all of this? LinkedIn says he's still at the company. In 2021, Russia and Ukraine were on rocky ground, and faced with a number of new sanctions and regulations, it appears Funcorp fully jumped ship to move to Cyprus. Many people at the company were left behind, says the anonymous admin, and while this was probably the best business decision to make, the company was not doing well. By the time the war had started in Ukraine in 2022, IFunny had a dwindling user base, and Funcorp was on the brink of bankruptcy. Investors came in under the promise that they would give attention to Funcorp's only successful app, IFunny. This appears to have been brought to fruition in 2023, but I'll get to that in a moment. As an exercise, why don't we take a look at Funcorp's LinkedIn page? Notable figures among their ranks of between 51 and 200 employees include the following. Max Kranov, Group CEO at Funcorp. Kranov is also a venture partner at Step Ahead Capital, a venture capital group based out of Los Angeles. Note, the supposed Eugene figure from the BuzzFeed article was also said to be based out of LA. Maybe there's some relation, it's impossible to tell. Kranov is also an advisor at Neurodive, which I believe is a company specializing in rehabilitation technology for strokes and neurological disorders. He was hired on March of 2021 and previously worked in various innovation and advisory positions for other firms. Bilingual in English and Russian, 26 years of software experience. Who knows what this man is really up to. Denis Litvinov, co-founder, former CEO, and former chief information officer. Since leaving, he has founded Orbiton X, a Russian GameFi platform. Vladimir Zakulov, co-founder of IFunny team December 2014 to 2016, co-founder of Funcorp from 2016 to present, co-founder of Spatial Chat from April 2020 to present, a virtual presentation platform a la Zoom or Skype, also located in Limassol. Isla Boyzik, product development manager from May 2021 to January 2024, where she was promoted to head of product. Notably, while on product development, she was on the neural networks/core team, which dealt in machine learning auto-moderation for content, users, and in-app activity, machine learning researches and A/B tests aimed to improve content's quality, tech debt, and research and development tasks and research, all topics relevant to the moderation discussion. Roman Krankus, head of infrastructure since November 2021 and engineer since 2018. Anastasia L., hiring manager since May of 2023. Anna Demchenko, HR business partner from December 2023 to present. Igor S., head of user acquisition since September 2023. Quote, "As the head of user acquisition at Funcorp, I lead efforts to get more users while keeping it profitable. We use lots of different ways to find and connect with our target audience and show the best creatives that lead to the best mobile app." The remainder of visible employees on LinkedIn are anonymous or irrelevant to our current discussion. Just to recap, that's the current and former CEOs, the founders, the head of machine learning/automod development, the infrastructure lead, the hiring manager, the HR lady, and the guy who develops their marketability plans and social partnerships. You know, just for reference. Remember earlier when I talked about that Chinese company Baidu? The source on that is allegedly a past lead IFunny dev who still owns some shares in the company in September of 2023, and so received some corporate email chains from Funcorp as a result. They apparently leaked these screenshots of an internal memo that revealed that IFunny, the intellectual property, had been bought from Funcorp by Baidu for $17.5 million. Now, I can't read Chinese, but here are the screenshots, so anyone who does can tell me in the comments if they're fake. If this acquisition is real, that somewhat lines up with the hiring and promotion dates for some of those employees I named earlier. Not entirely, but still a slew of changes in the same year. A change in ownership of the IFunny app would be plenty of cause for new management teams, and by extension, new moderation practices to be put in place. Late 2023 is also recent enough that it would be reasonable to only now start seeing major changes be implemented on the client end, if they were waiting for the legal and transition teams to finish their work, and for the promotional teams to get their plans in order. Now, I don't think that IFunny was really ever that profitable in the past. As a Bitcoin farmer, maybe. But I think that it was really only around 2016 that it started implementing ads more seriously, and past 2020-ish sounds about right for when they really ramped up the ad presence, by my memory. So for this landmark Chinese company to buy the app, and for a venture capitalist, Kranov, to have been its acting CEO since 2021, and for its co-founder Litvinov to leave in 2020 or 2023, there must have been some kind of plan or expectation that they could turn a profit from IFunny. Funcorp's website already claims that they're in the top 10 of social media apps. To really turn a profit, they would need larger advertisers and more advertisers, and to attract them, they need a respectable social media service. That is not the reputation that IFunny has, because of its prominent users. If what I've read is to be believed, and we take the various statements from these employee pages and the Twitter page at their word, it is not out of the question that this was part of an intentional purge of veteran content users on the app, with the expressed intent of replacing them with new creators that had brand-friendly personas and content. Furthermore, new creators that would not be attached to the historic population of the app, would not have expectations of maintaining that culture, and who would be enticed by the promise of monetization if they could behave themselves. In an article for Forbes on August 10th, 2020, titled "The Future in Anonymous Social Apps," co-founder/CIO Denis Litvinov discusses the potential viability of anonymous social networking apps based on his experience working with IFunny. The machine learning they ran on IFunny's comments and content gave insight into how user bubbles formed based on interests, which Denis believed could be leveraged to erase concepts such as, quote, gender, age, skin color, orientation, financial status, and other distinctive features of a human being. That's certainly concerning language. Comparing platforms like IFunny and Telegram to other large counterparts, while such projects are at an early stage and have not yet reached the scale of their predecessors, it can already be concluded that they have the ability to be more balanced, less toxic, safer, and less susceptible to political propaganda. But at the same time, they require additional moderation controls. Litvinov has had an eye on expanding IFunny and addressing the toxicity of its user base for quite some time. To take a slight tangent, on October 22nd, 2020, Joshua Doctor, a 21-year-old from Holland, Michigan, was arrested for an assassination plot on then-presidential candidate Joe Biden. He posted this meme on IFunny in April 2020, which would spark an FBI investigation into his account, revealing more threats against Nancy Pelosi and Gretchen Whitmer, and eventually led to his sentencing in March of 2021. In an article for Business Insider, Litvinov said IFunny was in the process of creating new moderation systems for comments on the site. We are currently working on finalizing the comment section pre-moderation systems launch within the next few weeks. And we will continue removing contents based on our trigger words list as part of the moderation team. We're actively searching for and removing content that incites, praises, or encourages violence or harm, and will take additional measures if necessary. Without a doubt, there has probably been some pressure from the United States government for Funcorp to more closely monitor and control the communities on IFunny. I remember being active on the app at the time and seeing screenshots of suspicious activities by new users suspected of being federal agents, which spawned its own slew of memes. A lot of users cleaned out their accounts to hide any evidence of extremist activity, and it put a bit of a scare into the app's zeitgeist. We've been living under the threat of moderation for quite some time. Multiple moderation teams cycling out across the app's lifespan. Founders attempting to create alternative apps and leaving after failure. Embezzlement. Headquarters location changes. Turnover at every level of the company. Near bankruptcy, prevented by investment from foreign communication firms. Even the name of the company itself changing multiple times within a decade. IFunny has had the perfect storm for the economic minds behind it to become completely detached from the ground-level user experience and attempt to replace those users with a more suitable population. Now, we can sit here and argue about whether the company made good decisions in its route to where we are now. And you can posture politically about whether IFunny's users deserved it for being racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, etc., etc., etc. I get that. I know that I'm very well playing the devil's advocate here. Despite this, there is something to be said for the lack of tact in how IFunny's management is going about doing this. First, we should probably acknowledge that it's a common talking point among right-wing groups that native white populations among the United States and European countries are being intentionally crowded out or replaced by their governance, for any number of purposes. Political power, ethnic cleansing, anti-white sentiment, anti-Christian rhetoric, pick your poison. You might believe that this is completely unfounded political conspiracy. You might believe that this is happening and is good, actually, or completely deserved because of colonialism or something. Our perspectives and moral judgments about the situation doesn't matter really as much as the context. Replacement theory is a really hot topic in right-wing spheres, especially online right-wing spheres like IFunny. So, for the app's governing systems to step in after leaving the users alone for so long and behave in a way to speak in such a way that could even be construed as trying to replace the native user base, never mind the fact that they were overtly saying and confirming these things on social media, was to kick a massive hornet's nest. There was no way the community was going to take this line down, especially the most extreme elements of it, with massive simultaneous bans hitting popular users. But with their intentions being apparently to convert IFunny into a mass media moneymaker, there really was no way to avoid doing it either. Trying to maintain a legitimate professional appearance while allowing the dark underbelly to persist would be transparently untenable. Investors won't buy it. But driving out the deep IFunny would be arduous as well. You'd need involved manual review of the app to weed them out, and they don't have the time or money for that. They would need clear and professional posturing that they were taking an anti-hate speech stance, that their leadership was changing, and that they were shaping up to ship out. We got none of that. The IFunny social team attempted to be clean and professional with their graphics. IFunny 10 has the air of that sleek tech edge. But their Twitter guy is speaking broken English with poor grammar and missing punctuation. They're poking jokes at the people they're kicking out instead of holding a steely resolve. The mod team is kicking out bits and pieces of the deep IFunny, but non-offending veterans are being banned, while huge offenders like Kolaz and Zaoist and Cirque are untouched. Meanwhile, the auto mod is turned on to hit any posts remotely speaking up about it, which hits bystanders as often as it hits longtime offenders. And in the midst of all of this cleanup, the Twitter team is still trying to shill for monetization passes, still putting on the face of the edgy underdog spirit it stole from the same users being removed. There wasn't a solid front. Any way you slice it, they implemented this change poorly and half-heartedly. If we look for a comparison, think of how YouTube originally implemented monetization. It started as a small site, right at the beginning of the social media boom, and leveraged the popularity of existing content creators by rewarding them for being loyal to the app. The voices on the platform at that time would be considered wildly offensive by today's standards. But as YouTube grew and was bought out by Google, it eventually turned on many of those classic creators, demonetizing them and creating an atmosphere where their style of content was not viable for a career. Classic YouTube users were consistently upset by these changes, and how the company seemed to take advantage of smaller entities to prop itself up. YouTube got away with it because it is the video site on the internet. It has Google behind it. Now look at IFunny. Its most loyal users are horribly offensive to modern audiences. It has to compete with modern content ecosystems, modern moderation standards, and modern advertiser expectations. It has to play on the term of the big dogs, and the sad thing is, it's been around for almost as long as any of them. YouTube, 2005. Twitter, 2006, Facebook, 2004, MySpace, 2003. IFunny was being made in 2009. Its founders were apparently established developers in 2004. It has floundered the entire time it has existed and never established itself as a true equal to those tech giants. So now, when investors want to flip its image, it has no clean user base to rely on. No good advertisers, few veteran staff members, and very little social capital. Monetizing the app while retaining anything about what kept it afloat or set it apart is a pipe dream. Their leadership would need to completely refurbish the app, and they might have had a chance at doing it if Funcorp was an even slightly respectable company. But it's not. Its employees and practices are shady as shit. These people hired a porn star for a promotional campaign in the 2010s. They were trying to promote themselves using a Sam Hyde project. Sam fucking Hyde. In the midst of this media revival on Twitter, their promo guy has repeatedly posted memes with the N-word and F-bomb in them, and defended the choice to do so. These posts are still up. They're fishing for collabs on Mr. Beast drama. They're engage baiting on Dr. Disrespect posts. They're calling people disabled, and not disabled as in disabled, they're using the R word. Funcorp is a company whose most prevalent employees are rumored to be pedophiles, sex offenders, and criminals who blatantly encourage the toxic content on their app rather than weed it out while it was still young. IFunny has no grounds to distance itself from its users because it has aided and abetted in forming them into what they are now. They wanted to eat their cake and have it too. Be an unknown, anonymous company with hidden operating procedures, but also be a profitable media giant attractive to advertisers and used all around the globe. In pursuit of that, they're willing to chew on their loyal users, whoever they may be, gnawing on them as long as they can extract some form of nutrients before spitting them out and completely leaving them behind. There is no reason to be loyal to Funcorp. There is no reason to build a platform with Funcorp. There is no reason to put time or money into Funcorp. They will betray 13 years of history for a chance at saving their own necks. Their leadership is rootless to the app's history and the soul of IFunny, that fascinatingly ugly, terrible thing which occupied a unique niche in the memetic sphere, that essence which touched the path of millions of young people around the world is gone. Stolen. IFunny is dead, and Funcorp killed it. In a previous video I published on December 17th, 2020, titled "The Memetic Revolution and Its Consequences Have Been a Disaster for IFunny," I speculated that the cause of IFunny's death would be one of two things. The first, physical death, would be the shutting down of its servers, either by direct intervention from the FBI or a lack of funding. The second, spiritual death, would be the diluting of its existing user base by incoming accounts from other platforms. That Redditors and other non-offensive, uncreative, unfunny feature creatures would become the dominant species. This was perhaps too hopeful. The shield of cringe that I described in that video was temporarily broken, yes, with content from the deep IFunny leaking to the surface. But in the 3.5 years since, that dynamic has been flipped. The featured section became overwhelmed with a near endless stream of posts, and that shield became a thick and suffocating canopy. I think Funcorp got scared of what they created, and that snapshot of a moment in time was just a part of the full story of the app's downfall. I just couldn't see the whole picture at the time. I openly contemplated the ethics of documenting IFunny for a larger audience, and ultimately decided the act of preservation was worth whatever exposure the inner communities might receive. I then proceeded to not make a single video on the subject again, until now. This banwave truly appears to be the nail in the coffin for deep IFunny. Not in that the group will be absent from the app moving forward. Some stubborn strata of lurkers and liblarpers will remain in spite of anything the moderation team throws at them. No, July 2024 was a moment where, collectively, IFunny's veterans and old heads could step back, view this thing that they were a part of, and admit that the show was over. Things have declined too much. There is no longer a unique thing there worth saving. Big names had been bleeding off for years before this. Monarch Trump, NCR, Leonard Kimsikoff, and more, leaving of their own volition before the first shot was ever fired. But in the course of this, the bonds that have been formed in that deep, dark place were not abandoned entirely. Radiating outwards was a valence of Discord servers, Telegram chats, Twitter communities, and Substacks that linked those veterans in a web that transcended the need for a single shared website. In killing IFunny, Funcorp forced the final stages of a metamorphosis that removed those remnants of mimetic excellence from within their greedy grasp. I cannot claim to know what future lies ahead for the parties involved. Following the posting of this video, I expect my account to be summarily executed for my crimes against Max Kranov. Regardless of whatever punishments I may face and the dubious seriousness of this topic, I stand proudly defiant. So, one more time, say it with me. Part of the ship, part of the crew. Poop in your hand and jack off, Funcorp.